Hello and welcome to the Founder Friendly podcast. Today, our guest is Eleonora Bastos, who is a health and wellness professional, best-selling author, and speaker as well. Eleonora is an integrative nutrition practitioner and works with clients on achieving their personal goals and achieve a better well-being. She's the founder of Health and Flow, where she's coaching and working with SME businesses to create a better culture of well-being at the workplace. Eleonora's passion for health and nutrition comes from her own personal journey of dealing with depression and eating disorder for a few years. So I'm interested also to, ask her about her story and how that led to where she is today. And I'm really excited to bring that aspect of health into business with this conversation, because we had many guests on the show who were talking a lot about business strategies and all that side of things. And so it's really interesting to, let's say, get another perspective in. So first of all, welcome to the interview.
Thank you.
Great. Okay. First question I have for you is, so you are a coach for health and wellness. At the same time, you're being a very active and busy business owner, I suppose. Correct. So how do you balance that for yourself, like running your own business, and what do you do for your health at the same time to kind of balance that?
So it's funny that you asked that question, and it's kind of the reason why I went into the workplace to, continue my career rather than going one-on-one. It's, I think work takes such a big part of our life, right? Like majority of our life, we spend it on working. And for me, health and well-being is such a big part. And if you don't feel good in your body, nothing will stick, nothing will last, no changes, and you cannot perform well. So it's an integral part for me to my work, right? So for me, it's super, super important to make sure that no matter what I do, how many hours in the day, I have at least an hour that I dedicate to myself every single day to keep myself on track. That can be working out, it can be just chilling. I work out 3 times a week. So Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, I wake up super early. I go to the gym at 6:30 in the morning, and I'm in the gym for an hour. And then Tuesday and Thursday, that my hour instead is spent sleeping in and having a relaxing start of my day. So it depends, right? Okay. It's just about being balanced.
That's interesting. So you have not really a structure that is the same every day. So you have you set it up your own way in a way.
Yeah, I mean, it is a structure, right? Monday, Wednesday, Friday is gym, Tuesday and Thursday is relaxing and resting. So that's the structure. Then what it looks like, it depends on the mood and how I wake up and how do I feel in my body. What I teach to people is what I practice myself, right? So I always listen to my body, and there's going to be, especially being a woman and being, in the cycle of there's a different level of energy and different things that come up. So, I just wake up and see where I'm at with my body and then decide. So, yeah.
Very good. Yeah. And you obviously have a big passion for health and nutrition. I've seen a few of your online videos, and that's really amazing to see that you bring that passion into your work. Where would you say that comes from, or how did you find that passion and the purpose that you have?
Well, I think it's so much as part of who I am now. I have struggled with eating disorder and depression and anxiety when I was a kid. So from the age of 13, about the age of 21, I was deep in eating disorder, depression, stress, anxiety, all of that. It was really, really bad. And it was only once I got out of it and I was able to put myself out that then I saw the impact it had on my life, that I went, oh my God, I cannot do anything else. This is what everybody needs to learn, because it changed my life completely. I mean, a 360 completely. So yeah, so it has to do with your own story. I see. And would you say there was a moment, because I think many people, let's say with or maybe even most people, the way how they grow up and how they become who they are had to do with whatever they have been through, and then there was oftentimes a moment where things changed, let's say where they were thinking, oh, now something has to change, now it's too much, or now that's it, right? Has there been a moment like this for you, or was it more a process? How did it go for you? There has to be there were several moments that happened throughout my life, in the different stages where I was at, where I was okay, this is enough, I knew there was something better and a better way to do things. I just didn't know how to. and then call it synchronicity, call it the universe, call it God, however you want to call it, whatever you believe in, like just like action brought me onto meeting someone that just enabled and facilitate for me to be like, from that aha moment to be like, okay, right, I have to do something about this, right? So I think like everybody always have that moment of like, oh my goodness, something needs to change. But the difference is like few people take actually action towards it and be like, okay, right, now this is going to be the time that I'm actually going to stick with it, right? And I think a lot of it has to do with like supporting, like having like the right support group around you. So for me, what really made the change was meeting this one girl. So I have a background in marketing and PR, so completely different of what I'm doing today. So when I moved to Miami, I'm originally from Italy. When I moved to Miami, I was freelancing in marketing, and there was this girl that was building a brand, and she's a top model. She holds the Guinness World Record of like the most time on Fitness magazine like cover, and she's proper, like model like out there. And she was building this brand, teaching the world that models do it, they just make healthier choices. So because I was helping her out building her brand and like writing the blogs and the recipes and just like doing the whole brand, and we were spending so much time together, I've learned about food. Then I started making the changes, but she was so supportive. Without her help, I wouldn't have probably like made the actual change, because majority of the people know what they're doing wrong. They know that there has to be like something different that needs to be done, but then they don't do it because it's uncomfortable, and it's likely that you're going to find yourself lonely, because it is easier to be surrounded with like people that, like are onto the same journey, rather than having to be the odd one that all of a sudden you're just going to stop drinking, or, like you're going to do like something that is completely different, and it's going to kind of like single you out from the social circle. So your social circles play a huge impact. So
that's a great insight. I think that is so powerful what you said, like with having the right people around you. And where would you say was the place where you find that person? Is it like you proactively looked for a group, or how did it happen?
So I think, well, for me, it was just by faith, right? I was just blessed, like lucky enough to come across to like this girl. But like in general, after that, like I became a huge believer in coaching. So I have a coach myself, like I've had spiritual mentor coaches and all kinds of stuff. Whenever I want to like do something, I always try to surround myself with people that already have achieved it. So then I become the baby one, but then I get to have all the teachings, right? So my biggest recommendation is like, if anybody wants to do a change, don't go and surround yourself with the same people that are not achieving what you want. Go and surround yourself with people that are achieving what you want, right? And whenever you find like a personal trainer, a nutritionist, like go and find someone that you can see that they embody what they're teaching, right? Like, cause that's the other thing, like, so many times, like, finding these people that you're like, okay, but like you're not living what you're preaching, and that's not going to help, right? So you just you're picking the people around you.
Absolutely. And I find that's also true for the business side. So for example, the experience I have is, or what I'm aiming for, is kind of learn from people that are so much better, right? That you can only improve, and that the likelihood that you're improving is a lot more if you just aim to learn from the best in your field, basically.
Right. And you know what's funny? And that's something that like I always tell people, someone that has already done it would never criticize you. Only the people that have done less than you are the one that will criticize you. So if you have naysayers around you that are like criticizing you or making fun of you of what you're doing and stuff, then ask yourself the right question, because it's likely that those people, are not exactly the one that are going to propel you forward. The people that have done the work, the people that have like gone through like the struggle, they will never criticize you. They will only support you. And that's in business and in any other area of your life.
Yeah, that's very interesting. I've never thought about it this way, but if I think about it now, I think it's very true, because those people who I've spoken to that were, let's say, really experienced or successful, they were hardly ever judgmental in what they said. It's only those people that, that just think it's whatever, it's out of their own reach, maybe it's out of their own possibilities. Right. So I can completely see that. And the way, I think, it was like a very good statement to say, just think about those, like, whoever is around you, and if they're criticizing you, because if they do, then the problem might be that they're the wrong people.
Yeah, possibly, exactly. So here's the thing, right? There's like a saying, and it says, those that can do, those they can't teach.
Yeah, 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 yeah,
So
yeah.
if they're trying to teach you a lesson, but they haven't achieved the result you're looking for.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's a good point. So what would you say was, in terms of the nutrition, the change that you did that, let's say, also the listeners can learn from? What did you actually change?
You know, it was really hard for me because I come from eating disorder. So I started with first anorexia, then I would go into binge eating, then bulimic, and then back to anorexia. And I did that for 8 years on a cycle.
Yeah,
So it was really hard for me to make the first changes because I was afraid of food. So food for me, I was super scared that it was going to make me put on weight. Like I had a really bad relationship with food. So the first step that I had to make was understand there's no bad food and good food. There's no calories. Like I was just like creating a healthier relationship with food. So throwing out the window the whole calorie counting and just focusing on nutrient density, right? And just really learning to tune in into my body. And every time I would eat something, ask myself afterwards the question, how do you feel, right? And then all of a sudden I started noticing that when I was eating certain food, I was feeling very tired afterwards. And when I was eating other foods, I was feeling very energetic. And just starting paying attention to that, like helped me create a healthy relationship with food, because then I would choose only the food that would make me feel good. And then that happens to be all natural stuff, of course, right? And then so like from there, then you heal your relationship with food. And it was only like years after that I was able to create balance, which now, you know, first of all, I don't do cheating is like a thing that I absolutely go against, and I don't recommend anybody doing it. First of all, it's because cheating creates like a negative mindset around it. And a lot of the time it's worse what we think than what we actually eat. Because your body doesn't recognize the difference between the stress response and fear. So you will respond to stress the same way that responds to fear, which is an increase in cortisol, shutting down everything, keeping alive only your main organs. So your metabolism slow down and, you know, everything goes out the window. So sometimes having that guilt and the negative connotation onto something will do more harm than the food itself. So the first shift will be like, forget about cheating. It's about treating yourself. So you're treating yourself because you've been eating very good and very clean this whole time. And life is meant to be lived, and you got to live a little bit. So you just treat yourself into something good and delicious, and it makes you feel good. Like I have this thing that I always do. It's like, I get once a month, I have like, it's this time I'm a woman, of course. So it's like that time of the month, but I always have this moment where I'm like, I crave something delicious, I call it. And that can be a cookie, it can be a pizza, it can be something that is like out of the ordinary that I don't normally eat, but I just like really, really want it, and I crave it and I go for it. And I enjoy it, like close my eyes and I smile and I make sound when I eat it, and I enjoy it. And that's like, I think the biggest shift to do. It's like starting to like forget about that. Also because one not so healthy choice will not undo your progress. A whole cheat day or a whole cheat weekend, it will. So if you can learn to be balanced and have a little bit of something whenever you feel it, like if you want to, like last night, I went to an event and they were having fresh baked cookie. I have a thing about chocolate chip cookies. I can't resist. Yeah. So I had my cookie and I had no problems with it, you know. It's like, so it's about like creating that like balance, you know, and like understanding that one not so healthy choice it's not going to do anything.
So what you're saying is everything is individual. Would you say that there are still certain things, or would you say it's overrated the role, let's say, certain foods play in a diet? Would you say it's much more about having something individualistic, or like how would you balance that? Is there like a rule certain foods are better, or is it really the thing that's going to help you the most is really figuring it out yourself, going on your own journey and trying out different foods?
So here's the thing, and it's a really good question. So there's a few things that I hear in your question that I'd like to address. The first one is individuality. So you are like one of the things that you need to understand is that our body is constantly changing and evolving and developing, and there's so much that plays an impact to what's good for you and what's not good for you. You know, like someday you might be okay digesting pasta, and then the next day you don't, because your emotion, your environment, the stress level all plays an impact on the way that your body processes and digests food. So what works for you today may not work for you tomorrow. And what works for you, or maybe in a month from now or in a year from now. So it's super important to understand that, you know, like you have to like be flexible, because your body is flexible. So you have to learn to be flexible, you know, and you have to just like learn to tune in and like listen really to your body. So I think like that's super important to like understand that it's like there's no such thing as a bad food or a good food. Like in general, the other thing that you were saying, there's a good food or a bad food. Like once you understand that everybody's unique, like I can give you exactly what I do and give you the plan, and it would have a completely different impact on you, because you know, we are unique human beings, and our genetic coding, like it's completely different, and our environment and our emotions and the way that we process emotion, all of that, it's unique. So you can't follow all one plan. That's why I don't advertise any one way of eating. I don't advertise one way or one plan of following, and I don't like any of the diets that are out there or programs that are out there, because they address only the physical body without thinking about the emotional component, which is such a big component. It has as much as an impact as much as what you're eating. And then the other thing is that like they're all giving one plan, one way of eating, one way of training for everybody. And that is so wrong, because we're all unique and we're all changing. So that's step number one. So like the individuality is huge, right? And then the other thing is like, okay, there's no bad food or good food. What you need to understand though is that like everybody has this notion of like you are what you eat, right? It's like, oh yeah, you are what you eat. Everybody heard it. At some point in their life, everybody hears you are what you eat. But nobody, I think, like ever stop and thinks that, right? Your body cannot produce everything it needs to be able to function properly. So what you put into your mouth goes into your stomach, gets breaking down, and feeds everything. You function, your brain, your cells, your organ, everything in your body functions in relation to what you're putting inside of it. You know, so there's no bad food and good food per se, but it's about like what I like to like address is like, rather than bad food and good food, is like it's about nutrient, right? Like, are you nourishing your body? Because that's your job. Your job will take care of itself. Given the chance, it will always heal itself, right? Your job is to give your body the nutrients so you can actually work perfectly. And that is the thing, right? So there's no bad food and good food, but there's like food that is like gonna help you and food that is gonna give you issues, right?
Yes.
Food is gonna support your body to like do his own job and heal itself and detox and all of that. And there's food that is gonna do the actual opposite, and it's gonna put like a lot of like chemicals and a lot of like stuff into it, and it's gonna make your body to like work harder and then like go into inflammation mode, and then from there it's history, right? Like then you go into chronic illnesses and diseases and
I think that's a very good explanation. I think maybe both aspects somehow play a role. But at the end of the day, everyone's kind of a unique person to find their own style in a way. I think that probably stands out overall. Yeah. I wanted to ask you also about exercise, like doing sports to improve your, let's say, physical and emotional state. I figured out for myself that helps me a lot in business. So whenever I put a little bit of exercise into my day, that is having such a big positive effect that I can, for example, work more productively. What would you say? What's the role of exercise, and how would you implement it? Is there like let's say a certain number, like maybe twice a week you should have certain exercises, or daily habits? How would you approach that, and what role does it play?
So when it comes to exercises, there's even here a few things that needs to be said, right? So exercise, it's again unique to you and to your body, right? And what I find a lot of time is that like people like have this notion that like people have this notion that they can actually like they have to work out in order to be able to like feel better, and like they can outtrain a bad diet. There's no such thing. So point number one to be made is like you cannot outtrain a bad diet. So if you're trying to lose weight, if you're trying to feel better in the body, the first thing you have to look into is your diet first, your nutrition. What are you nourishing your body? Because you cannot outtrain a bad diet. It's impossible. You can't eat awful and then go to the gym and think that you're going to make it up. So that's point number one. Point number two is that like there is this notion, because now fitness is becoming so in vogue and stuff, that people think that they have to go and kill themselves in the gym and stuff, and they think that that's the only way that you're healthy. Well, actually, there's plenty of study that can show you that if your mind and brain is tired, your body is tired too. And what you do when with a workout, you're putting more stress onto your body. Now, so I have like a whole talk that I do about this, because like people pick like the exercises just because like they're trying to like achieve a certain result. So like right now it's like big like CrossFit and high intensity interval training. Those are like the craze right now, right? Everybody's doing CrossFit and high intensity interval training. So now those type of workouts create a huge impact onto your body, like as far as stress, right? So if you're already stressed at work and stressed in your mind, and you do that on top, you're putting more stress onto your body. So you have to think about exercising as a way to balancing out where you're at emotionally, right? So if you're having a stress day and you are exhausted, don't go for a high intensity interval training. Don't go for a spinning class. Go for something gentle like a Pilates or a stretching or a yoga or something that it's like calming, right? It's about balancing the energy. So if you wake up in the morning and you're super energetic, so then yeah, absolutely go out and have, like a crazy workout, whatever you want to do, like a crazy, like, running, cycling, whatever. But like you have to think about it that way, right? So there's no such thing as like a good exercise or bad exercise, but you have to be mindful about the fact that like a lot of like the exercise needs to be chosen upon on like where you're at, what state you're in, and what kind of feeling are you trying to create, right? Because if you're trying to be calm and relaxed because work stresses you out, to start your day with someone that is like yelling in your ears and telling you like more push-ups and stuff like that, it's not the right way, right? So you will get even more benefit, to like calm the energy, so then you can get into work and be like more peaceful and mindful, rather than like having someone just like start hammering your head and then like get into the office and then like have 100 people like coming into your office and like bringing in emails and stuff, right? So it's important to create always that balance. And as far as like rule, like, you should move your body at least 30 minutes every day. It doesn't matter what it is, but just try to move your body, right? Like in London, it comes quite easy. In America, it's a bit more of an issue because, like you drive everywhere. But here, everybody walks everywhere. So you can get like the 10,000 step in like real easy in London, like just by commuting, right? Like just going in and out of. But, ideally 30 minutes a day. But, like I like to like take that moment, like and I always encourage my clients to take that 30 minutes, not to commute or, but just being mindful, whether you're going to the park, walking your dog, and just like moving your body and being outside, right? And just, like having that oxygen coming to your brain. Or if you want to go to the gym, just like go for like an easy walk on the treadmill or, like on the bicycle for 30 minutes each day. And then like the other one, if you're trying to like lose weight or condition your body, then you can do conditioning the other 3 times, right?
Yes.
Like,
yeah.
So
that's an interesting view on things. I think maybe the way to think about it is that you now already spend so much hours at work. That's already work for your system. Now you would be adding more on top if you would do like a heavy training afterwards. Right. I think that's maybe the way to think about it, just the way you said it. Yeah.
They have studies that have shown that if you're tired in your brain, you feel tired, your body is tired. There has been studies that has been done about this. So it's counterproductive for you to like go and put more stress and more tiredness on top of it. You're better off just keeping the training all together and just like going home and taking a hot bath and, just replenishing the energy.
Yeah. Right. And what would be your advice on, let's say, nutrition in the everyday life? For example, so I'm commuting every day to work for like about 40 minutes one way, and then spend my whole day inside London, but then obviously go back late afternoon or evening. What would be your advice on what to eat for lunch? Would you then say find a good place inside town, or what would be your advice?
So it depends, right? Like it depends on what you like to do. Like some people like to like stay in the office. Some people like to go outside, like there's so many good available options nowadays, even here, like from Pret, which is like a chain and it's in every corner. They have so many great options. I eat at Pret lunch like 3 times a week. So they have really good options out there. Now, for convenience purpose and probably for saving money, I would probably recommend like signing up for a delivery service. So they have so many health delivery services that can bring to your office. They'll deliver it on Monday and you can have lunch for like all the 5 days of the week, or, and signing up for something like that whether it's like only for the lunch or lunch and dinner. It depends, right, on like your lifestyle. So everybody's different. If you have a partner that can cook for you and you get home and you have food on the table, you don't have to think about dinner. But if you don't, and you live by yourself and you're single and you work all day and you come home and then you find yourself like eating a pizza or grabbing a burger or going to, like, what's the name of like the chicken place? Nando's. Nando's or one of those, like, and just like grabbing like whatever meal to just come home and eat by yourself, or like Chinese food, then you might be better off just like signing up for a service to do 2 meal delivery a day, right? So you bring one to the office and the other one.
I think,
Right. You can also like, if you like cooking, you can also like do the meal prepping. Everybody's different. You have to find what works for you again, right? It's all about individuality. Like, do you like to cook? Do you not? Are you a lazy person or are you not? Like, do you mind stopping at the store every time, like when you come by? I personally, I eat every day. Like, I go to the store every single day and then I pick up whatever I want to eat and then I come home and I cook it, right? But that's just because it's me, and I don't like to plan in advance, and I like to follow, like, to eat exactly what I want whenever I want it. But, not everybody's the same.
Exactly, yeah. I think, for me, it's like I don't really enjoy that so much, that whole, let's say, meal preparation and stuff. But I think what you said is true. Like, you can find good places to eat almost everywhere in a central, let's say, city area. So you can find really good, healthy stuff in that too.
You can, and like, you can read the labels. Like, reading the labels is one of the most important things that you can do, right?
Yeah.
Like, so whenever you're making a choice, you have to think about what nutrients am I giving to my body. Having a white bread sandwich with like very little filling inside that has like 1 lettuce and then like a little bit of chicken and then that's it, you're mostly feeding it carbs. Carbs is not really going to give any nutrients. If you're in the work hour, you want to give something that will give you like the minerals and the nutrients that are able for your body to like be able to think. And so you always want to ask yourself the question before making any choice. It's like, okay, what am I actually eating here? What am I feeding my body right now? And that's going to help you, right? And read the labels, make sure the ingredients are listed in the amount they're present. So the first 3 ingredients is mostly what you're eating in a food. So just always read your labels and see what you actually are eating, if there is one. But there's so many good options in town that you can play with, or otherwise the food delivery service is so convenient, and there's so many like good food delivery services nowadays that
very good. What would you say would be your advice on setting goals for your health? Because I think if you look at the whole business area, it's relatively easy to set a goal in that sort of space, because health is a bit more custom or individual. How would you, let's say, even also like obviously when you work with your clients, like how do you define goals with them?
Well, it depends, right? Everybody has different goals. Everybody is in a different process journey, like everybody wants different things. Like, from some can be weight loss, for some can be weight gain, for some can be just getting more energy, for some can be, there's so many different goals, right? So it depends on like, I think like the biggest question you have to ask yourself is, how do you feel in your body and what would you like to change? If you had a magic wand today and you can just like go like abracadabra, what can I change, and have your wish granted, that would be your goal, right? So whatever it is, just start working from there. And then if it's too big, right? If it's like, if you're massively overweight and you're trying to lose 50 pounds, focus on the first 5. So start with 5.
Yeah. And you probably also look into, let's say, the mind as well, right? So I believe that you can't really separate the two, mind and body. It just doesn't work, right? Because in your case, I think you mentioned you had to deal with a lot of, mental stress, depression. Would you say that it just has to go hand in hand, right? There's no other way.
For me, yes. I don't believe that you can separate the two. Like, you are what you eat, but you eat your feelings and emotions. So, like the two things are connected. Like, you cannot think that you're going to like be thinking straight if you're eating chemicals and sugars and stuff like that, because they've done so many studies that our second brain is in the gut, right? So if your gut is not balanced, if the things in your stomach are not okay, you're not going to be able to think straight. So like the two things need to be connected, right? So health, it's like such a big topic, but for the World Health Organization, it's a component that has to do, it's not like the lack of disease, but it's a balance between like your your nutrition, your social and mental well-being, but your social too. So even your relationship plays such a big importance and part in like where you are, you know, like if you feel sad and lonely, that's going to have a massive impact in like the choices that you're going to make, you know, like as far as like what you're eating, because if you feel sad and lonely, you will reach for stuff that will have your brain stimulate serotonin, which usually is carbohydrates and, you know, sugars and stuff like that. And, you know, like at the same time, if you are, everything is connected, right? So like you have to make sure that everything goes, you know, moves at the same time. So, you know, like your weight loss goal, yes, it's great to have the weight loss goal, but what got you to that weight to begin with, right?
Yes.
There's always a cause behind it.
Yeah, very, very good. What would you say are some kind of myths in terms of nutrition that exist? I think you probably mentioned already some that you said it's all individual. I mean, that's probably is already maybe, it's not really a myth. I think that's getting more and more out there. I think more people are adopting that. But for example, some people used to say milk is really good. And then other people are coming out and saying it's in fact the opposite. Like, is there one or two things that you can point out where, let's say, the society is telling one thing and you would say it's the opposite?
Well, so as a rule of thumb, right, I always say avoid everything that is new. You know, like now it's the ketogenic diet. Don't get me started on it. Like if you have a day or two, we can go on and I can rant about a bunch of stuff. But I think like it's like easier to just like try to like give you a little bit of a background. So like the ketogenic diet that like right now it's like all the craze and everybody's going on to, like I would avoid it, you know, like anything that is new, there's not enough study that has been done. And if you think rationally, you know, like on what you're feeding your body, what nutrients you're feeding your body, how is that healthy in the long run? You know, like I would ask myself questions, right? So I'll be really skeptical anything that is like new and the latest craze. So that's one thing, right, to start. And then there's so many myths that are out there, right? But it goes back to like if you understand what each and every nutrients play as a part in your body and what they cause, then whenever you're having something, you can ask yourself the question, is like, does it actually sounds good to like have too much of one thing? Too much of one thing is never good. Not even if it's something healthy. If you have too much of it, it's not gonna get healthier, right? So, you know, like you have to like try to like get yourself into the mindset or really like trying to understand nutrition. But like the very basic, it's not that complicated, you know, but just like understand what carbs do, what proteins do, like what fiber do, like why all of these are important. And just, you know, like asking yourself this question. Then there's so many myths, right? Like weight loss, like if you drink water, you're going to lose more weight. No, that's not how it works, you know, like unless like you only drink water is not going to make you lose weight, you know, or, you know, like detoxifying products. Right now there's like this thing, everything is detoxing. Like, let me tell you, don't waste money on anything that says detoxing, because there's no one product that is going to help you detox. Like detoxing is a normal, regular function that your body does naturally, whether you want it or not, whether you think about it or you don't. You know, it's just like something that happened in your body, period. So if you want to, you know, like all these detoxifying things, just forget it. If you want to like detox your body, stop eating the stuff that it's toxifying it to begin with, and your body then will do the rest. That's pretty much what you have to do, you know, but there's nothing pills or potions that you can drink. So, you know, just try to stay away with anything like the whole dieting and nutrition. It's a multi-billion-dollar business, you know, like, and they come up with these new discoveries so they can do everything, you know, they can sell you a bunch of products. It was like the gluten craze a few years ago. The problem was never with gluten, it's with zonulin, but nobody tells you that. Like, they tell you gluten, so then everything becomes gluten. But, you know, so all this stuff, it's like there's so many. Now with milk, since you ask about milk in particularly, well, what happened with milk is that like your body between the age of 5 and 7 stopped producing the enzyme for you to break down the milk, the sugar in the milk. So now everybody, like majority of population, it's somewhat lactose intolerant. Now the degree depends from person to person.
Yeah.
And upbringing, how used to you are to like drinking milk all the time. So it depends on your ethnicity. There's so many factors, right? So like some people will be more intolerant than other. So it's just gotta try and see what is right for you, right? But the other thing that you want to like think, like the other thing, like it's super important is like whenever you're making a decision, just try to stay away with anything that is processed. Because whenever like human, us, the superior race touch something, we ruin it. So the moment that you like, if you can have anything that comes from nature, it's not going to harm you.
Very good. There were so many interesting points in there. I think maybe the overall rule is that there's no magic solution, right? That it's just about, a journey maybe, or just like all these factors you mentioned. So yeah, many good points. And I also found interesting that you mentioned the keto diet. I've been on an event that was like also like a workshop more on mindset and psychology, but then they brought guest speakers in about the keto diet, and they presented it as a new big thing, and this guy was flying in from Canada to present it here, and yeah, it sounded more like a marketing presentation to me than something that made it strange. But yeah, who knows, I don't know. It's
just if you think about it, you're feeding your body majority of the calories and the nutrients that you're giving to your body comes from fat source. Butter and bacon, and what is that doing to your arteries, right? What is it going to happen in the long run? Anything that restricts you, anything that doesn't like it takes away a specific food group.
Mm-hmm.
I have to be wary of it, like we're meant to eat everything, like we're not meant to like anything that comes in nature should be fine. The problem comes when if you eat stuff that is processed. So now if you're telling me on the ketogenic diet that I can have all this like processed fat and as much as I want to, like,
right, yeah.
Read some questions,
Yeah, okay. So what would you say are your goals moving forward? You recently published a book, right? What are your goals, and also, yeah, what are you working on right now?
So I recently published my book, which I have here. It's my baby.
Yeah.
Feed yourself. This is my baby because I've worked on this for, it took me a year to write and 4 years to publish. I was turned down by publishing houses because my following is not big enough, but this is the program. It's a 12-week program that I've been using in the past 5 years from celebrities with, like moms and busy professionals, just to like help them feel better in their body. I've changed hundreds of people's lives with it. And, like I wrote it all in one book that you can read one chapter per week, and you do the program as if it was a coaching program with me. And I'm super excited. I'm getting incredible feedback from all over the world. It's been an incredible journey. So absolutely happy with my book. I love speaking. I love, like going into businesses and just trying to inspire people to just get healthier. Like that's really what I'm after. I just want to like get out there and inspire as many people as possible, whether it's in the business. Right now I'm launching a community, that it's all based around like health and well-being, and from mental to like body, soul, everything, and connecting dots. And so, yeah, that's what I'm after.
That's amazing. Yeah. So what's the best place for people to, let's say, stay in touch with you, or to follow up with you? Any best place, website?
You can, anything that is in social media, you can find me on the website, you can find me on social media, Eleonora C Bastos. You can find me on my website, which is both the Diet Free Project or Eleonora C Bastos. They both send you to the same place. So yeah, anywhere on social media, you can shoot me emails, like any of the button links, they all work. So just get in touch. I can help at all. I'm always happy to do it.
Yeah, great. Okay. Yeah, thank you for your time and for sharing all these insights into nutrition and well-being. I think it's going to bring a new perspective onto the podcast, and it's going to help a lot of people that maybe haven't looked into that field so much. So yeah, really, really interesting to speak. And yeah, thanks for being on the show today.
Thank you for having me. This was really great.